Between 1964 and their final concert in 1966, the Beatles consistently included one particular song in their live performances, Babies in Black. Although it was a relatively overlooked track from the album Beatles for Sale, John Lennon and Paul McCartney were determined to feature it in their setlists. Because of its lukewarm reception, they often presented it to audiences as something unusual, yet they persisted in playing it at nearly every show. The song had been written and recorded by Lennon and McCartney in 1964, with both of them singing side by side into a single microphone. They carried this same performance style onto the stage. Given its limited popularity, McCartney explained that they felt the need to frame it for listeners as something distinct from their usual material. He reflected that whenever they performed it, they assumed the crowd might not fully understand the song, but they believed it carried a certain coolness that set it apart. Despite its lack of mainstream appeal, Babies in Black remained part of their live shows right up until their last performance in 1966. By that time, the band's overwhelming fame allowed them greater creative freedom in choosing how they wanted to shape their music. McCartney later recalled that this period gave them the chance to move beyond songs designed purely to please fans or generate sales, such as From Me to You or P.S. I Love You, and to lean instead into their more experimental, student-like sides. He explained that Babies in Black emerged from their interest in writing within a waltz-time rhythm. They had been influenced by earlier songs in 3/4 time, like If You Gotta Make a Fool of Somebody, which impressed other musicians who noticed the Beatles experimenting with that structure. Over time, the band became recognized for incorporating such rhythmic variations. For Lennon and McCartney, the song also represented a shift from their earlier lighter material. McCartney noted that they were drawn to making something bluesier, darker, and more mature, with the title itself suggesting mourning. He added that both he and Lennon favored the color black, which further reflected the tone they wanted to achieve. Although Lennon and McCartney would later diverge in their approaches to songwriting, Babies in Black stood as one of their joint creations that showcased the strength of their collaboration. McCartney remarked that their partnership allowed each of them to help the other find creative pathways they might not have discovered alone, a dynamic he considered invaluable. He described their working relationship as one where their minds moved in different directions, but the interplay between them produced extraordinary results. This, he believed, explained why their songs had endured far beyond the lifespan of typical pop hits. Rather than creating music that simply fit the mold of fleeting pop trends, their combined efforts fostered an environment where they could experiment, evolve, and ultimately create work that continued to resonate long after it was written.